So, guys, this could be it. This could be the final nail in Erik Ten Hag's coffin. This could be Erik Ten Hag's last game as Manchester United's manager come the full-time whistle on Sunday evening, where we are playing a very informed Aston Villa under the brilliance of Unai Emery. And with their famous win against Bayern Munich in the Champions League phase on Tuesday night, Aston Villa are going to cause Manchester United so many problems, which will probably see the end of Erik Ten Hag's regime as Manchester United come the full-time whistle from Villa Park on Sunday evening. For me, I think the writing is already much on the wall. I think what we're getting out of yesterday's game is that I think the substitutions of Marcus Rashford, what we've been hearing today is that there was a massive, massive bust up at halftime in that Manchester United dressing room yesterday between Marcus Rashford and Erik Ten Hag, where Erik Ten Hag has basically come out and said it was due to rotation and keeping the squad fresh and trying to change a few little things inside the Porto second half in yesterday's Europa League away game in Portugal. But what we're hearing from now is that there was a major, major bust up between Erik Ten Hag and Marcus Rashford, and that is why Marcus Rashford failed to appear in the second half against FC Porto for Manchester United last night in the UEFA Europa League. But also Bruno Fernandes having to step in to separate the pair, getting into a confrontational fight. So Bruno Fernandes is having to step up as captain to separate the manager as well as Marcus Rashford. And there's also rumours that today also that Garnacho was kicked with a boot yesterday by Erik Ten Hag. So I think, again, the players have given up. I think the writing's on the wall. And I can't see realistically how Manchester United are going to go to Villa Park on Sunday and get any result. I think Erik Ten Hag, it will be the final straw. I think failure to get a win, get a point, or any kind of result at all, Erik Ten Hag will be gone. Erik Ten Hag will be sacked, and Erik Ten Hag will no longer be Manchester United's manager. Where do we go from there? I'm not 100% sure what is going to happen from Sunday evening, but what I don't want to happen is that we bring an interim in and that interim manager eventually ends up getting the Manchester United job on a full-time basis, and then he then gets the full-time manager's job, and then it all goes wrong again. I don't want an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer situation 2.0. That is not what I want. That is not what I want to happen, but that is my biggest fear. They'll give Ruud van Nistelrooy the interim job till the end of the season and wait for a new manager to become available in the summer of 2025, where that summer transfer window will be up in smoke because we've got no new manager. The pre-season tour will be up in the air as well, and the organisation for next season will be in tatters already, with the situation of Erik Ten Hag looking very, very bleak. And what we're hearing today is failure to get a result. Erik Ten Hag will be sacked by Manchester United. And I think it's been coming. I think it's probably the best result for the football club that both the manager and the club both part ways on mutual ground. But Manchester United, I don't think there's a plan. I don't think there's any getting out of this, and there is nowhere to hide. I mean, Manchester United can PR this as much as you want, the failings of Erik Ten Hag, but it's also the failings of these players being able to turn up in the big games and beating mid-table European clubs like FC Porto. So Manchester United, really, you can absolutely wash the floor with the amount of PR that you're going to absolutely spread on your social media once Erik Ten Hag is gone. But your plan is to get this bloody football club back to where it needs to be. And Manchester United needs to come up with a plan very, very quickly, because this could be an absolute cricket score on Sunday. Manchester United will not be getting a goal. Manchester United will not be getting results Sunday. So any hope or any belief that Man United are going to go to Villa Park and turn up, that isn't going to happen, because I think the players have also given up. The players don't want to try. The players can't be bothered. They're thrown in the towel again. Player power has also won. So the players have got their own way once again. The players have got another manager sacked. And the bigger problem is these players are not getting called out. These players are getting praised These players are getting their egos even bigger. And these players simply should not be at this fucking football club if they're not willing to try, no matter how bad or good the situation is with Manchester United Football Club. But I think the big fear factor is what the scoreline is going to be on Sunday. Because if you look at Aston Villa and you look at Manchester United, it's absolutely night and day the way both football clubs are on a run. And in my view, what's happened here is Ineos have been brought in. Ineos are now making all the decisions. They're not letting Ten Hag get his own way anymore. And Erik Ten Hag has been told to focus more on the training and the managing of the team. And obviously, Erik Ten Hag is probably not happy with certain players being sold. He's probably not happy with certain players that he hasn't been able to bring in. And he's probably not happy the way Manchester United are being on the pitch at the moment. And I don't think no manager would be. I think every other manager in the Premier League would be absolutely loving what is going on at Manchester United. We're getting laughed at every week. We're getting bantered every week. And we're basically an absolute laughing stock on and off the pitch again. But it's no surprise. The history, unfortunately, will repeat itself come Monday morning, where we will be sacking another manager. Erik Ten Hag will be gone. And I did say this would happen. Remember when Harry Potter found out that the Chamber of Secrets had been opened for a second time? What happened to Jose Mourinho? He got to the third season as Manchester United manager, and then he was sacked. Unfortunately, that is what's going to happen. That history is going to repeat itself, and Aston Villa will put that nail in Erik Ten Hag's coffin come Sunday evening. And I don't know where Manchester United fans and supporters are meant to get excited for Sunday. I don't see where we go from Sunday after the full-time whistle. And I don't know what's going to happen. No one knows what's going to happen. And I think we need to start getting realistic now. The players are also so much to blame for the mess this football club is currently in. The players are not willing to take any form of responsibility. These players have yet again thrown their toys out of the pram. They've got their own way. They've probably got on their little WhatsApp group that they're all in, slagging the manager off, slagging the football club off, slagging the fans off, slagging the supporters off, and they probably think that they know better than everyone else. Unfortunately, these are the players that were called out under Mourinho, Van Gaal, Moyes, Ragnick, Solskjaer, and it's also the same as Erik Ten Hag. These players are not willing to get any responsibility put on their shoulders. They don't like the hate, they don't like the criticism, and they don't like it that they're getting criticised for their performances on the pitch. But unfortunately, they gave up against Palace, they gave up against FC20, they gave up against Tottenham, and they gave up against Porto. That's 4 games that Manchester United were too afraid and too scared to make a decision regarding Erik Ten Hag. Clearly, he's lost the players. Clearly, he's lost the dressing room. And clearly, he knows he's lost the trust of Ineos. And that is the big, big problem here. And maybe Erik Ten Hag is absolutely doing this on purpose. Maybe Erik Ten Hag is thinking, do you know what? You absolutely mugged me off in the summer. You took 3 weeks to keep me on as your manager. And do you know what? I'm going to sabotage the results. I'm going to sabotage the team. And I'm going to sabotage where Manchester United were last season and the season before that. I'm going to absolutely sabotage every fucking sector of this club because you mugged me off and you made me wait 3 weeks until you knew you were going to keep me on as manager. And the only reason Erik Ten Hag is here is because Thomas Tuchel turned down the job because he didn't like the offer and the terms he was getting offered to become Man United's new manager, and Thomas Tuchel said no. But it's funny that the Thomas Tuchel rumours are now back under full swing this morning and this afternoon, that Thomas Tuchel and Manchester United will resume talks for Thomas Tuchel to become the new Manchester United manager. That is the manager I want. That is the manager I believe will take us back to the top. But Thomas Tuchel has got to come in and he has to be given full authority. He's got to be told he can get rid of who he's Thomas Tuchel is got to be allowed to get rid of who he wants. He has to be allowed to keep who he wants, and he has to be allowed to sign who he wants. That is the full authority I want a manager to be given. That is the full authority of the manager that a football club needs to be looking at. And Thomas Tuchel, for me, fits the profile and the stature of a manager that Manchester United Football Club are fucking crying out for. Why we didn't sack Erik Ten Hag in the summer is because he won the FA Cup. It's because he got us into Europe and we got into the Europa League. And Ineos probably thought, you know what? Let's give this one more season. Let's give this one more try and let's see where it's going to take us. Unfortunately, that's not worked. It's backfired, and it's backfired badly. And Man United results are now suffering on the pitch because of Erik ten Hag's favouritism of certain individuals. Certain players that should be playing in this team aren't getting picked, and certain players that should not be at this football club have been kept based on the commitment and desire that those certain players have been showing to Manchester United Football Club over the last 3 seasons. And the problem is, those snakes, those vermin, have been kept based on the loyalty that they show to the fans, what they show to the supporters, which is nothing at all. There is no loyalty to the fans. There is no loyalty to the supporters. These players have given up on you again. And it's absolutely wrong that these players have got another manager sacked, where this was meant to be a turning point. This was meant to be a new regime. This was meant to be a new Manchester United. And Manchester United are now looking like a bloody mess again because Ineos were too scared to sack Ten Hag. Ineos were too scared to give Tuchel the job because he wanted certain terms being agreed and certain loyalties being given to him as the manager. And Man United ended up back at Erik ten Hag because Tuchel rejected them. But it's funny now, they're now back in talks with Thomas Tuchel. And they're probably going back to him because of pure desperation. That is how it comes across. That is how it looks. Manchester United have got desperate because the mess they're in, they can't get themselves out of. And they've now got to sack another manager. Manchester United probably do not want to do it because it's going to cost them money. At the end of the day, Manchester United have got money. Manchester United can come up with, well, financial fair play is a concern, sell to buy is a problem. At the end of the day, if you've got money to sack the manager, you've got money to give new manager. And that is going to be the big talking point. If we sack Ten Hag Sunday and the Villa result is awful, they will sack Ten Hag. But what I'm hoping this new manager is going to be given money straight away to spend in January as well as next summer, because this is going to take miracles to get us back to the level that we need to be at. It is going to take a complete another rebuild. Certain players are going to now have to be sold, and certain players that we like are probably not going to be here next season because there's probably going to be no European football again. And Manchester United are now relying on the cup competitions to be in Europe at all. That is the reality. We are going to have to rely on the cup competitions again for Manchester United to be in Europe next season, because forget top 4. It's not going to happen. Forget European football in the Premier League. Forget us finishing in the top 10. It's not going to happen. We're in a relegation fight here. We're 4 points above the bottom 3. We are fighting with Ipswich. We're fighting with Southampton. We're fighting with Everton. We're fighting with Palace and Leicester and Wolves. That is an absolute disgrace, the way this football club has fallen off this season. This third season, we were meant to be pushing on. Ineos were meant to be bringing in a completely brand new chapter. That new chapter has not been written because Ineos haven't got a fucking clue. And you can bring in all these specialists and all these footballing experts to try and bring this club back to some kind of normality and stability. But the problem is they don't attend the games enough. So Jim Ratcliffe is never there. And the problem is, where are they when the going's getting tough and the results are getting worse? Where are they? They're hiding behind a cushion because they don't know what to do, because Manchester United's situation is now bleak. We're looking like we're on the verge of European elimination from the Europa League. We've got 2 points from 6. We haven't won our last 2 league games in a row. And the problem is, you look at Aston Villa and you look at what they're doing as a football club, and you look at the type of manager that they brought in Unai Emery. Look at the job he's done. Look at the players he's producing. Look at the quality football, and look at the results he has got Aston Villa this season. Look at their European record. They've gone back into the Champions League after so many decades away of being in Europe's top elite competition. You look what Aston Villa have done in their first 2 Champions League games. They've scored 4 goals, 3 against Young Boys and 1 against Bayern Munich. They've beaten the 6 times champions of Europe in Bayern Munich, who are managed now under Vincent Kompany. No one expected Villa to beat Bayern Munich on Tuesday night. I hold my hands up. I did not expect Aston Villa to beat Bayern Munich. I really, really didn't. But I wasn't surprised because what Steven Gerrard did wrong, there was no style of football. And Aston Villa fans probably expected Villa to do really well because what Steven Gerrard achieved as Rangers manager. The Scottish Premiership to the Premier League, it's night and day, the quality of football. In the Scottish Premiership, you really only have two teams. It's Celtic or Rangers. Those are the two teams that boss that pub league every single week, every single game. It's either Celtic or Rangers. You don't really see any other team in that league competing with them because they don't have the money, they don't have the budgets, and they don't have the players, and they don't have the pull power of what Rangers and Celtic do. And Rangers and Celtic are being able to improve every season by season because they're winning the league. They're getting top two. It's already nailed on. And I thought, what went wrong for Gerrard? He probably thought, well, if I can work miracles at Rangers, surely I can turn Aston Villa into a well-oiled machine. And unfortunately, that new manager bounce under Gerrard, it didn't come smoothly, and they were losing against teams that they really should not be losing to. I mean, they were getting involved in a relegation fight. They were getting involved amongst the bottom three again, and Steven Gerrard was turning Aston Villa into another candidate to get relegated to the Championship again. And they brought Unai Emery in, and I remember his first game in charge was against us. The new manager bounce was there straight away because there's a style of play. You recognise what Aston Villa are trying to do. You see players that they're able to bring in because they're competing with Europe's elite now. You look at their results this season, they're probably, in my view, a contender for top four again. They're a contender to get Champions League football back to back 2 seasons in a row. That is because the job Unai Emery is doing is magnificent. And obviously, he probably went to Arsenal at the wrong time, and he did. Unai Emery got sacked by Arsenal, but he probably went there at a completely wrong time for his managerial career. And he ended up getting sacked by Arsenal. He went back to Villarreal in Spain, and then Aston Villa got him. And what he's producing with players like Ollie Watkins and Duran is quality. It's absolute pure quality. And again, if you look at John Duran, who I am a massive, massive fan of, at the moment, he's probably the best striker in the Premier League because it's what he does. He doesn't start games at Villa. And for me, he should be starting over Ollie Watkins. Ollie Watkins is struggling to find goals at the minute. But Ollie Watkins is probably your best provider of goals against a Manchester United back four that's got no recognisable left back. The centre-back partnership and Lisandro Martinez and De Ligt, that is not working. And Mazraoui, who we thought was the answer, isn't allowed to go forward enough to try and produce a ball or a cross into the opposition penalty area. You're probably most likely going to start with Ollie Watkins to attack that back four because of the gaps and the space that we leave on so many occasions. I would probably start Ollie Watkins because if he gets at that back four, he will get in behind him and he will cause us problems and he will score goals. But if you look at it from a bigger point of view, if you look at what Duran's form is and you look at what he's doing when he comes off the bench, he always guarantees you goals. He always guarantees you quality goals and he always puts the ball into the back of the net. And Duran was looked at by Manchester United a few seasons ago and Manchester United said no. I bet they're probably regretting that now because Duran and Watkins, if you start them both together, that might work for Aston Villa. But I don't think Aston Villa will do that, by the way, because they've got players like Kamara and John McGinn. Like, even Emiliano Martinez, their goalkeeper, he doesn't concede a lot of goals. He keeps a lot of clean sheets. And I can't see him conceding against Manchester United. Because for me at the moment, he's probably the best goalkeeper in European football as it currently stands. He's probably the best goalkeeper that Aston Villa in their history have ever had. And he had a career at Arsenal, but it never worked out. And he left Arsenal to go to Villa. And look how well that's worked in Aston Villa's favour. He's probably the best goalkeeper in European football at this current moment in time because he keeps clean sheets. He doesn't concede a lot of goals. And again, if you look at that Aston Villa back four, you've got Konza. Like, what a quality centre-back. What a quality centre-back that Aston Villa are being able to produce. That is what you call the effect of Unai Emery, who was bringing on young players which he is now taking up to the next level. And those players are then getting international call-ups because they are producing the goods in an Aston Villa team that is so, so solid. And it is. Their team is so, so solid. And you then look at their wing threats. You've still got Leon Bailey there. And again, he was in and out that Aston Villa team when Diaby was there. And I'm surprised Diaby left Aston Villa after only one season. For me, he was Aston Villa's best player when he went there. He was absolute pure quality. And I was a massive, massive fan of Diaby. And it's something I wish Manchester United would have looked at instead of buying snakes like Jadon Sancho. Diaby left, but now look what the effect Leon Bailey's producing. He's also now producing the goods from Villa on that right wing, and he's a deadly, deadly threat. And I think if you've got Dalot against Leon Bailey, I think I know who's going to win that battle. Leon Bailey will get past Dalot. On a one-on-one situation, Leon Bailey will beat Dalot. Dalot is not a left-back, and Manchester United, again, have neglected that position, which should have been improved in the summer transfer window. And that is also massively backfired. But I've got no sympathy for Manchester United. You're creating your own mess here. You're causing your own problems because you're not sorting this team out. You're not bringing in players that this club is in desperate need of. And now if you look at it from the bigger point of view, I'm not surprised we're in the mess we're in. I'm really, really not surprised because we don't buy the priority positions that need improving straight away. And when you've got no left back, Leon Bailey will have a field day. Because how many times in the last 3 or 4 games has Dalot been out of position? How many times has he started to push himself into the midfield three? How many times has the back post been left because Dalot is nowhere to be seen? That is because he's not a left back and he's trying to do the left back job knowing he can't do it. And the problem is Manchester United, we didn't sign that left back that we were in desperate need of. And if you look at it now, that was a joke. That was a joke. That was a disgrace not signing a left back, and now it's fucking costing us. So I think Leon Bailey will be a massive, massive threat come the Aston Villa game on Sunday. He's one of their best players, and it's another player I wish we would have looked at going forward because he would be someone I would also take in a massive heartbeat to improve our winger situation. Because if it's true that obviously there's been a bust up between Ten Hag and Rashford. He's kicked a boot at fucking Garnacho, and Garnacho's done nothing wrong. I don't know what's going on. And if I was Marcus Rashford, get yourself out this club. Go to a club with a bit more stability. And if I was Garnacho, I'd be begging Real Madrid to get on that phone. Because the problem is, if that's true and a boot's been kicked at Garnacho, I'd be begging Real Madrid, get me a move and get me out of here. Because Garnacho should have been starting. Garnacho should have started against Porto yesterday. And again, I don't understand why he's not using Garnacho. I really, really am struggling to see why he isn't using him. But the problem is, you've got Rashford on the left. If Rashford's got that favouritism under Erik ten Hag, which is clearly there to see, he isn't going to drop. He isn't going to drop Marcus Rashford. And Mikey Wallace has said Garnacho will never get into the Real Madrid team, bro. They've got better players. But eventually, that move will happen. I still think he will end up at Real Madrid because, you're going to want to improve that front three still. And I'm not saying Real Madrid's front three is not good. Real Madrid's front three is world class. But it's got that vibe where when Ronaldo left for Real Madrid, it feels like that Garnacho thing is also going to happen. Garnacho will end up getting that move to Real Madrid. Real Madrid will come calling for Garnacho, and I still think it will happen. Because I know you've got Rodrigo, you've got Vinicius Jr. and you've got Mbappe. But if you add Garnacho into that mix, and you've got Garnacho on the left, Vinny on the right, and Mbappe down the middle, that will cause Real Madrid so many headaches with the team selection. But it will also create even more fear into the Liga, and it will also create even more fear into Europe that Real Madrid will end up getting Garnacho. They will end up getting him. That move will happen, in my view. But I respect your view and I respect your opinion because that's what it's about. I mean, welcome to the channel, by the way. Massive shout out to you. I respect your views and your comments, which is all about fan opinion. But yeah, I still think that Real Madrid move will happen. And I think if Garnacho has had a boot kicked at him, he needs to get himself out quickly. I think he really, really will want to get out the club. And thank you. I respect you. And please subscribe to the channel if you're new, by the way. Would really, really appreciate it on this Friday afternoon. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are in the world. But yeah, like, if I was Erik Ten Hag, I would be making changes on Sunday. But will Ten Hag have the balls to do it? I don't think he will. I think he's probably trying to sabotage his career. He's probably trying to sabotage his management, and he's probably trying to sabotage his tactics and his tactical awareness. And he's probably giving an up yours to Ineos, saying, well, this is what you did to me. Now look what I'm going to do to you. Certain players that you've brought me, I'm not going to use. Certain players that you're expecting to start, I'm not going to use. And certain players that I love and I have favourites for, I'm going to keep picking every week. I'm not going to change it. And the problem is, Erik Ten Hag is going to get himself sacked because Garnacho should be starting. Amad Diallo did nothing yesterday. And again, I thought that was the answer on the right wing. I really, really thought that was. But yesterday did nothing to convince me that that's an option. Now, I'm sorry, but Amad did nothing yesterday to convince me that right wing's been resolved. It didn't work. But the problem is, you can't then drop Rasmus Højlund because he did score yesterday and so did Rashford. I mean, does he keep that front three still? I'm not sure, because if there has been a bust up between the manager and the player, then I think Garnacho will come in for Rashford, will stick with Højlund, and they'll go with Amad. And it'll be interesting to see if Garnacho is on the bench again and Rashford starts. That will be the big talking point from Sunday, to see if either players are involved against Villa on Sunday. That will be a big talking point. And I think if Rashford starts, then maybe the issue gets resolved. But it will be interesting to see if Garnacho's on the bench, because if he's had a boot kicked at him, which is not fair on the player, he ain't done anything wrong, and he probably can't understand why he's been benched for the last 3 or 4 games in a row. And I don't get it. I don't understand why Garnacho's not been picked or been selected for the starting lineup. I don't get it. I think it's an idiotic decision. I think Garnacho's one of our best players, and I don't get why he's not starting, because once he gets the ball, he does create problems. He can get into the opposition penalty area. But all I saw again against Porto yesterday was see him shoot every time he got the ball. And it was the same with Anthony. Every time he got the ball, he just shoots. And that isn't working. And it will never work, because our wingers are selfish. They don't like to create for the other players in this Manchester United team. They just want to keep shooting every time they get the ball. They want to create chances for themselves. They're selfish. We don't provide no service. And that's the problem. And that's why we don't score goals. But again, the positives from yesterday was that Rashford and Højlund both found the back of the net yesterday. And logically, you would think both players will start against Villa. And I think they're going to have to, because they were our best provider of goals yesterday. And both players caused massive, massive threats to that Porto back four. That Porto back four couldn't cope yesterday. And I'm kind of hoping that will be that will come to fruition on Sunday afternoon. And it'll be interesting to see, like, if we still now stick with Rasmus over Joshua Zirkzee, because again, I don't get the Zirkzee substitution yesterday, and I don't get the Anthony substitution. I really do not get it. Joshua Zirkzee has gone 8 games without a goal, and he keeps getting opportunity to prove himself. He clearly shouldn't have come to the club, and it's not worked out. It's not been a good signing, and now we're stuck with him. And the problem is, now you're stuck with him, you're not going to be able to get rid of him very quickly, and he's going to be on a big wage and a big contract, and most teams are not going to be able to afford the fee that Manchester United are probably going to be looking for in a few years' time. So Joshua Zirkzee hasn't worked, and he probably should have stayed in Serie A and probably ended up at AC Milan. That is probably now a massive, massive regret of his, because if you think about it, look at the problems at this football club and look at its development. Is going to go out the window if a new manager comes in, because the new manager might not fancy him. That's the problem. All these signings that Erik Ten Hag has made this summer, the new manager might not want them. The new manager will be like, right, I don't want him and I don't want him. You're going to have to find a way of getting rid of these players because I don't want them here. And that's another problem that Manchester United are going to have to face. If you sack Ten Hag, and you bring Tuchel in, what if he doesn't want Xerxes? What if he doesn't want Euro? What if he doesn't want De Ligt? What if he doesn't want Mazraoui? What if he doesn't want Agate? Then we've got a big, big fucking problem. We've got a massive problem that will then become a headache. And one player I think should be starting on Sunday is Agate. And I'm still scratching my head thinking, what has Agate done wrong? He hasn't done anything wrong since he's been at this club. He's been a magnificent signing so far, in my view. Obviously, we've paid a lot of money, 60 million, and it took us 3 months to get him for PSG, which I still feel Man United and PSG have treated him like shit because they allowed the negotiations to drag for so long. And the negotiations took 3 months to get him. He had no first team training. He had no preseason training. And again, he wasn't selected against Palace. He wasn't selected yet last night and didn't come on. And Eriksen and Casemiro both played 95 minutes yesterday. I don't know what Ten Hag's thinking. I really don't. And Ineos must be scratching their head thinking, why on earth has Erik Ten Hag ignored Agate? Why is Erik Ten Hag not selected Agate? Why is he not using him? He was meant to be the replacement for Casemiro. He's an upgrade on Eriksen. He's an upgrade on McTominay. He's an upgrade on Hannibal Mabry. We've paid 60 million to bring him in as all their replacements. And Erik Ten Hag in the last, against Palace, against Porto, hasn't used him. I don't get why. I really, really am struggling to understand why Agate was brought. And if Erik Ten Hag is refusing to play him and doesn't want him, then what's going to happen here is we've got a Donny van de Beek situation 2.0 heading towards us very, very quickly. Because when Solskjaer was in charge and we wanted Jack Grealish, Man United said, no, we're not paying 80 million. We can get you Donny van de Beek instead. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer never wanted Donny van de Beek. Never used him, never picked him, never selected him. He kept on using McTominay and Fred when they were both here. Donny van de Beek's career spiraled out of control and it went wrong dramatically. That move to Manchester United was a big, big regret. And it's a shame still it never worked out. But again, it was the right thing to move him on this summer. And he's doing all right as your owner. And it's funny he's now scoring goals. Well, again, Manchester United probably have made a mistake letting Donny van de Beek go. But we didn't get a lot for him because of how many years he left on his contract. I think we only got 500,000 for him. So what I don't want to happen is we've got Agate here and he becomes a massive expensive paperweight because he's not getting picked. He's not getting any game time. He's not getting selected. He's not in consideration for the starting lineup. And he's basically warming the bench. That is not what I want to happen. Agate, for me, was meant to be the midfielder that takes the midfield to the next level and was meant to be the improvement that we were all crying out for. And when he doesn't get selected yesterday and he doesn't get brought on, I can't still understand that. And I think, again, that is the naivety of Erik Ten Hag. Maybe he doesn't want Agate. Maybe he doesn't want him here. Maybe he doesn't want him. And I think, you know what? Maybe Erik Ten Hag is still holding a grudge that Man United sold McTominay. Maybe he's holding a grudge that they sold Hannibal Mabry. Maybe he's very, very pissed off that they had to sell McTominay to get Agate. And they had to sell Hannibal Mabry also to help get the Agate fee, to get the Agate money. Maybe he doesn't like it that he's sold 2 players and he's only been allowed to bring 1 in. And it's another up yours to the owners and Ineos and say, well, you've got me Agate. We've lost McTominay and Hannibal Mabry. And I'm stuck with Eriksen and Casemiro, who you were meant to be getting rid of. And they're both still here. And it's funny, they're both still getting selected, which again, I thought that was meant to be brought to an end. I honestly thought that was the end of Eriksen. That was the end of Casemiro. But look how many games both of them are starting again. We went back to the old midfield of before. And I think, again, that ain't going to work. That clearly isn't working. And Erik Ten Hag is shooting himself in the foot. If you're going to keep selecting players based on what happened in season 1 under your management, and you want to keep doing that, then do you know what? Be my guest and get yourself out this club, because I think Eric Ten Hag's out of ideas. I think he's running out of tactical genius. Like, he was meant to be the answer, and 3 years in, I'm gonna have to go to the toilet quickly. I'll be back, guys. See if I can pause the live stream. Can I pause it? No. So yeah, like I honestly expected, it would be the end of Casemiro, it would be the end of Ericsson, it would be the end of Mason Mount once was brought back in. But I just don't get why we're not using him. It just doesn't make any sense why Erik ten Hag won't select him. It doesn't make any sense why he won't select him. But I just don't understand, because he's a massive upgrade on what we've got, and he was meant to be the midfielder that we all want to see be selected and be picked and start. But for me, like, does Ten Hag want him here? Does he want Agate, or is he just wanting to stick with Ericsson and Casemiro? I just don't understand it, because I mean, he's the CDM to take this midfield up to the next level, and I don't think Erik ten Hag sees it. He doesn't see Agate's qualities. He doesn't see what he offers in his CDM role than what Casemiro and Ericsson offer, which is absolutely nothing. And it's naive from a manager to neglect a player like that. It's stupid. It's utterly, utterly stupid. And I think with what's going on with the midfield, especially what happened to Bruno Fernandes again yesterday, getting sent off, maybe the midfield does need a change. Maybe we do need to change that midfield up. Maybe we do need to rotate. But again, you don't rotate your best players off the pitch and try and go for it when the going's getting tough. You don't rotate your best players off in the second half and don't try and go and win this Porto game. It just makes no sense. And I think Ten Hag, not to his credit, to his failure, is getting himself the sack, because he's making the wrong decisions at the wrong point of the game, and he's costing himself his job. He's trying to get himself the sack, and I think that's what he's trying to do. He wants that payout. He doesn't want to be here. He doesn't want to be the manager anymore, and he can't be bothered to try. And that's the vibe I get off the manager. That's what I'm seeing from the team. That's what I'm seeing from the performance. That these players aren't trying. These players aren't willing to go the extra mile now because they can't be asked anymore. And that's the problem that Mourinho called out, that they've got too many snakes in that dressing room. There's too many players at that football club that are taking the piss. There's too many players here that Man United needed to move on, and Man United have kept on based on commitment. And it's a disgrace. And Mourinho ended up paying the price because of his job. And it wasn't fair on Mourinho. Like, Mourinho called the problems out that Man United had, and Man United have neglected it, and it's resurfaced under Erik ten Hag now, and it's a disgrace. Man United have let this happen deliberately. Man United have slagged the fans off. They slagged the supporters off. It's because Man United do not know what they're doing. They don't know how to treat the fan base properly. They don't know how to treat the supporters with respect. They treat the fans like shit. They just take all your money. And it's got to stop. Man United need to start waking up, because this is the new norm now. It really, really is. This is going to keep happening under every manager that we end up getting, because we're just going to keep repeating the cycle of sacking the manager. But half these players need to go with him. And it does need to happen. It really, really does need to happen. But Man United are too loyal to some of these players. Man United don't want to get rid of certain individuals. They want to keep them based on loyalty and decide that they want to play for the football club. Man United need to force players out the door, but Man United ain't got no balls to do it. And I don't think Erik ten Hag's got any balls to do it either. He won't drop Delo. He won't drop Onana. He won't drop Rashford. He won't use that. He won't use Agate. He won't use Garnacho. And I just don't get it. I'm struggling to understand why he won't do it. Maybe he is loyal towards certain players. Maybe he does have favourites. Maybe he's only going to Solskjaer in disguise me. Do we need to get Scooby-Doo and the mystery crew and the mystery van out to bloody tear the face off Erik ten Hag? Because maybe he is only going to Solskjaer in disguise. Maybe there is favouritism inside that United dressing room, and certain players are being picked due to that they're loved by the manager. And the problem is, if they're not playing well, they need to be dropped. I don't know, Ten Hag will see sense Sunday. But again, I think he knows himself, well, it doesn't matter what really happens here. I'm going to get the sack anyway. Let's go out on a whim. That's the problem. But that's not the mentality I want. I want us to be winning every single game that we're in. Like, we need that winning mentality, and I'm not seeing it. We're not seeing any winning mentality. These players aren't together. Look at the amount of mistakes yesterday in that back four. Look at the lack of midfield. Look at the lack of energy in that midfield. When we were crying out for Agate to come on, Erik ten Hag ignored it. Look at the substitutions from the attacking front three. The front three that we started with all got dragged off, which was naive. You don't take Rasmus Højlund off. You don't take Ahmad off. And you certainly do not take Rashford off. But unfortunately, he's using rotation as an excuse because he knows his tenure of manager's up. I think Ten Hag probably wanted to lose yesterday so he could be sacked today. I'm surprised Man United ain't done it. I thought by this afternoon or this morning that we'd get an announcement that Erik Ten Hag had been gone. Erik Ten Hag had been sacked. But Man United have got no balls to do it. That's the big talking point here. That's the big issue. Man United have got no balls to do it because it's going to cost the club money. That's the problem. Money is always coming into a factor here. It will. And it always will. It will never change. Money is always the big talking point when it comes to Manchester United Football Club. That's the issue I have here. It's about money. It's trying to save face again. And that is not what I want. That is not what I want from a football club. I want Manchester United to be aiming for bigger and better than this. You need to aim for the standards of high quality football and an aggressive manager who's going to grab those players by the balls of the horn and get the best out of them. Because Ten Hag isn't. Ten Hag isn't getting the best out of the players. The players have thrown in the towel again. They might as well get the Dido song White Flag on because they've surrendered again. They've given up on the fans and they don't want to be bothered to try. And they won't try against Villa. They won't try because if you look at the quality of Aston Villa to Man United, they've got better players, they've got better squads, they've got two better strikers, they've got better midfield options, they've got a better back four, they've got a better goalkeeper. Aston Villa will shit on Man United, and they always will, because they're going to keep moving and moving further and further into the distance, while Manchester United are just going to keep falling further and further behind. That is what is going to happen on Sunday. It is going to be an Aston Villa cricket score. This could be an absolute drubbing that we're going to get. It will be an absolute drubbing. Man United will not get a result on Sunday, but it wouldn't surprise if the players turn up for one final time under the manager. That is what I'm expecting. But if what Mark Goldbridge is hearing is true, that by Monday Erik Ten Hag will be gone, then it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. But again, what do we do then? Because the club's going to be in a crisis about what do we do now? We're going to have to try and win the supporters and the fans back. What do we do? How do we try and get them back on side? Because we've set the manager. We need to get the next managerial appointment right. But I don't want no interim again. Sod that. Because you'll end up giving Ruud van Nistelrooy the job. It will be all right for the first 2 years. And then in the third year, it's going to crumble again. And then it will turn into Ole Gunnar Solskjaer 2.0. That you've given a former player the job, you've sacked him, and then his legacy as a Man United legend will be gone. And again, it will be. And people say his legacy will always live on. No, it won't. He achieved greatness as a player, but as an interim manager, and if he ends up getting the job on a full-time basis, it will all end in tears again. And remember when Solskjaer cried? That was a sign of weakness. He didn't want to go. He didn't want to leave. He couldn't believe he'd been sacked. But I could. I could believe he'd been sacked because he was a shit manager. He was shit, I'm afraid. And I knew it was going to end in tears. And that is exactly what happened. So I'm not surprised we're on the verge of sacking another manager. I'm really not. But it wouldn't surprise me if we somehow get an unlikely result against Villa. But I just think Villa got too much quality. Duran and Watkins will do damage. So will Leon Bailey. You look at the impact of Yuri Tielemans since Aston Villa signed him from Leicester. A quality midfielder Man United ignored. And he makes that midfield for Villa so much better than what it was under previous seasons. It's quality. Villa are going to shit all over us. And that's what's going to happen. I can't see anything more than an Aston Villa win. They're 5th on 13 points. We're 13th on 7 points. We are 6 points off Aston Villa already, and we're only in the first week of October. But again, all I can say is let's see what happens come the full-time whistle from Sunday afternoon from Villa Park. It wouldn't surprise me if we turn up and win, but I think this will be Erik Ten Hag's last game as manager. So I hope you enjoyed this live look ahead. Please hit the like button and the share button. Please hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. United Red Devils 20. Share the video. Hit the tweet button, hit the retweet button, and to always remember, put the notification bell on or auto so you receive dedicated upcoming brand new content that we've got planned for you for the rest of 2024 this year with brand new videos, brand new shorts, brand new live streams, and much more brand new stuff we've got for you to try and get involved in before the end of 2024 this year. And again, let's see what happens on Sunday evening. It wouldn't surprise me if Man United turn up. It wouldn't surprise me if we get an unlikely result. But for me, this is heading for one thing and one thing only. This will be an Aston Villa win, and it will be a comprehensive win. It could end up as a cricket score. It could be 5 or 6-0 to Villa. That's what I think could happen. So join me for the full-time reaction, come the full-time whistle from Villa Park on Sunday evening. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy the rest of your Friday afternoon. Stay safe, be nice, and be kind to each other. You're all legends. You are all legendary. And I will see you all on the next one.